Let me show you something. This is the honest inventing process. This is the real way to go ahead and invent. You probably heard before, we get a patent, we're gonna go ahead and license out the idea. Well, that's a really low chance, less than 5%, and that's if you're a hustler. Here's why. The thing is, companies actually want to look for products that already pretty much are done. That's why when you go on Shark Tank, the first question they ask you is, what are your sales? That's the first question they ask you. Here you're starting off with an idea. You've probably been approached by a patent attorney, or maybe somebody that wants to talk you into licensing, or maybe some other company, I don't even know. But that is the riskiest model to go ahead and spend, because a patent can go ahead and cost you $10,000, $20,000, $15,000 depending on what. And do you even know what the idea is going to look like? Do you know how it's going to be made? Do you know any materials involved? Do you know how it's going to be manufactured? None of that, because that comes after in the engineering portion. You would want to start here, a sketch. Completely free, you can do it on your own time, a sketch. Then we move into a preliminary design, which we actually transform what you sketched out into a 3D image that looks professional. After we do that, you can actually go ahead and then engineer. When you engineer, you take into account different principles. How is the product going to be made? How is it going to be manufactured? Any manufacturing process or materials? There are going to be any off-the-shelf components? What's my bill of material? Who are the suppliers for all these different types of parts that I'm going to be using for my invention? And that's covered in the engineering process. After that, you want to go ahead and get a quote from a manufacturer. After you get a quote from a manufacturer, then you know how much this idea is going to cost to make. And that's pretty reasonable. The main approach is to actually try and start off low risk and then work your way up. We start off with an e-commerce first. Whatever the manufacturer gives you, a minimum order quantity, which is an MOQ. Minimum order quantity is pretty much the minimum you have to go ahead and order from that manufacturer. A manufacturer can give you a quote. The quote can be $10 per unit, and then they have a minimum order quantity of 100. That means that you have to spend $1,000 in product for the manufacturer to go ahead and ship that to you. But then that's when we go to e-commerce, where instead of you having to buy 50,000 units to go to retail, which might just sit in inventory, it takes 90 days, 60 to 90 days to get paid from retailers most of the time. Get e-commerce, you can go ahead and get paid immediately. So anywhere between 3 to 4 days, you're already getting your money back through places like Amazon and other e-commerce retailers. Eventually, once you actually generate much revenue, or the product is already selling, the invention is already selling, then you want to go ahead and move to retail or to scale. After you've already achieved sales, then is when you can actually approach companies for potential licensing opportunities, because now you have an established market, now you have sales, now you already went through the trials and tribulations of actually making the product, and it's not even that difficult. It does take a little bit of time, but let's be real, the chances of the first process are very slim. So let me show you how an idea usually starts. Pretty much it starts off in a piece of paper, just like this. If I told you that this was a retractable TV that goes under a barber chair, would you believe me? Probably not. You're gonna be like, what is that? Some sort of alien spaceship? But let's come around here. I'm gonna show you how we actually started. You remember when I told you about the preliminary designs? Well, we actually turned it into a sketch right over here on this screen. Very quickly, you can understand the idea. As you can see, this does not state any specifications on what motor, maybe, what type of components are being used, none at all. But if you look over here on the other screen, pretty much we have a finished engineered product that is ready to be manufactured, because all the components are laid out, every nut, bit, screw, and everything that makes up the product. The main goal is to go ahead and have the product turned into your own business. And most of you guys fall either into two categories. Either you fall into just the concept stage, and all you need is pretty much to start the process, or maybe you're already much more advanced where you have engineering done already, and you need an engineer to go ahead and review, and then see if you're ready for manufacturing. But either way, we can go ahead and work with you. Down below, we're gonna have two options where you can go ahead and start. Once you go ahead and start, you're gonna get access to a project portal. So our project portal gives you a login where you can go ahead and see any updates on your idea. And usually the preliminary 3D designs are done anywhere between 3 to 4 weeks. So that's right, instead of waiting on your idea, you can go ahead and start. In as little as 3 to 4 weeks, have preliminary designs. Our average is around 2,000 people thinking about the same thing as you are. It's just a matter of whether you're gonna start out or not. But look forward to speaking to you soon.